Fox News alert. The unsealed warrant in the Mar-a-Lago FBI raid reveals former President Trump is under investigation for potential obstruction of justice and Espionage Act violations. This, as we're learning more about what was seized, including 27 boxes containing some classified records. But Trump says they were all declassified. Former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi joins us now to react. Pam, so great to have you on. You're the perfect person to talk about this. What are your thoughts on this raid?
Rachel, it's unbelievable what they did. And, you know, the Espionage Act, really, they put that in there because it's so salacious. You know what that means? The intent for information to be used against the United States or for the benefit of a foreign nation. Really? Meaning it was used for spies in World War I is when it started. So it's ridiculous. It's really unbelievable what they're doing. And, you know, I wonder if they put in that warrant also, Rachel, that the Trump team had been working with DOJ for months on this matter, and Will and Pete just did a great timeline, which is really important on this. And I also wonder if they put in there that the Trump team, at their request, put an extra lock on that closet in that warrant. Pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, they told them to put a lock and they tore down the door that they told them to put the lock on. It's all very, very crazy. And so my question to you is, why is this happening? What are they after? Is this about making sure that Donald Trump is not the nominee? And is that going to work?
Rachel, Donald Trump is the single biggest threat to the progressive agenda in this country in their lifetime. And they have tried everything else, as you and KT McFarland were talking about, to bring him down, and it has not worked. That's why they didn't go to the judge and get a motion to compel. He would have complied. That's why they didn't just simply go to the door and say, hey, we have a warrant. Give us these documents. We know right where they are. Instead, they went through Melania's clothes. And that's also why they brought in this incredible show of force. All anyone's talking about are 30 agents on the ground, but it would have taken hundreds and hundreds of agents to pull this off. And I guarantee you, they had planes in that sky. They were in D.C. watching this whole thing go down. They had boats in the water. What did they think, that a gardener was going to come in a scuba suit and grab these documents? Seriously, a groundskeeper, and jump in the water and try to swim off with these documents? What they did backfired. They thought that people were going to think Donald Trump was a spy and they're raiding Mar-a-Lago, but the American people saw through it, and it didn't work, and it's not going to work.
Wow. I hope you're right, Pam. But people are outraged, definitely. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
We now have some idea what the FBI seized from the Mar-a-Lago residence after that search warrant was unsealed.
Even though it's still pretty generic, agents taking more than 24 boxes of documents, some, they say, containing classified records.
But President Trump says it was, quote, all declassified. Monica Crowley served in the Trump administration and as Assistant Treasury Secretary, and she joins us now to react. Good morning, Monica.
Good morning, guys. Great to be here.
You know, we've talked this morning about President Trump's ability to declassify. I want to ask you a little bit of a different question right now. It's been suggested by the Washington Post that somehow the nuclear codes were involved in the items looked for here by the FBI. How believable is it that if it were about the nuclear codes, the FBI would wait 3 days from the issuance of the warrant and 18 months in negotiations over the retrieval of the nuclear codes?
Yeah, the absurdity of this, guys, tells you that the regime has jumped the shark with this raid, and they are clearly aware of that. That is an outrageous assertion that somehow Donald Trump had our nation's most sensitive nuclear secrets, but they waited a year and a half to go get them. I mean, what's next? That he's hiding nuclear missiles under his bed? The whole thing is absurd. And while there is some outstanding questions about classification, and we've been going back and forth on that issue, and perhaps that does need to be litigated all the way to the Supreme Court. We don't know that yet. But what we do know is that this is the latest in a long line of abominable acts against this president to try to undermine him, try to smear him, and ultimately try to destroy him remove him from the U.S. political scene. And everybody is talking about the particulars of the Russia hoax or the 2 fake impeachments or January 6th, but nobody is teasing it out to the broader question of why he is under constant assault. And guys, the only reason for that is because he is an existential threat to the entire ruling class and their absolute grip on power, and therefore he must be destroyed.
You're right. And do you think, though, they anticipated the backlash? Do you think Merrick Garland would have anticipated that potentially this raid made it more likely that Donald Trump is the GOP nominee as everyone falls behind him? I mean, what aspect of this did they think through, and what were they looking for? What do they hope to get out of this?
Well, you know, the left and the deep state, permanent bureaucracy, the media, all of Donald Trump's enemies, they can't stop. Like, they literally can't not do this because they're so consumed not only with hatred of him and opposition to all of his very successful policies that got this country back on track, but they're also extremely threatened by his challenge to their grip on power and to the regime's entire corrupt status quo and the gravy train that goes along with it. So therefore, they must try to stop him at all costs. But of course, this is starting to backfire. And this raid and everything that's going along with it has actually put Donald Trump on steroids. And I think if there were any question in his mind about whether he's going to run again, I think they made that decision for him. And I also think that they probably set him on a glide path to winning the presidency again in 24.
I agree, Monica. I think they kicked off his campaign. And a lot of people that I know that were kind of on the fence about Trump are now fully on board, if nothing else, because of what just happened this weekend, or this week. Monica, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks,
Always
Monica.
Great insight.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Thank you very much. Well, President Biden's still not commenting on the FBI raiding his predecessor's house and the items they seized from that house. But Vice President Kamala Harris is talking. Jackie Heinrich is in Kiowa Island, South Carolina. That's where President Biden is vacationing. Jackie.
Hey there, David. Good morning to you. The official White House response is that there will not be a response. They're trying to stay as far away from this issue as possible to assuage any fears people may have that the Department of Justice has had any sort of political influence coming from the White House on this case. They have been very careful to stay far away from this story. But yesterday, Vice President Harris was asked a question, and she went a bit farther than the official White House no comment. Listen.
Well, as a former prosecutor, I will tell you, I don't speak about anybody else's case. But I have full confidence that the Department of Justice will do what the facts and the law requires. I will say, as a former prosecutor, but as a citizen of our nation, any attacks on law enforcement are completely unacceptable, and any so-called leader who engages in rhetoric that in any way suggests that law enforcement should be exposed to that kind of danger is irresponsible and can result in dangerous activities.
Now, the warrant indicates what laws the government believes may have been violated, including part of the Espionage Act, making it a crime to remove or misuse information related to national defense, also to hide, damage, or destroy government records, and a law dealing with efforts to falsify, destroy, or cover up records to obstruct or interfere with a federal investigation. What was not released and what may not be is the underlying affidavit, which would tell us the story of why the government raided the Mar-a-Lago estate, what probable cause they had for that action, and from which sources. Trump himself is pushing back on a Washington Post report that says classified documents relating to nuclear weapons were among the items that FBI agents were looking for. There was nothing that we saw in the seized property list to indicate that level of specificity there, and likely we would not have seen that on such a property list anyway. But there were some files that were marked top secret /SCI, which, as Lucas just mentioned, is the highest classification level, and those documents are only supposed to be discussed in a SCIF. The former president said on social media that all the stored material was secured and all had been declassified. Now, as for the current president, he has not said anything about this. He's been in South Carolina since Tuesday, excuse me, and he's on a vacation on the beach during August recess. And the only thing we've heard from him is on Twitter celebrating the passage of his health and climate bill that happened last night, saying that he will sign it next week and have a celebration at the White House on September 6th, David.
Okay, and we'll talk about that more a little later in the show. Thank you, Jackie, very much.
To the latest on the war in Ukraine, new concerns after an alarming attack near a major nuclear power plant, risking a possible radiation leak. Britt Clennett has the details.
This morning, heavy shelling near the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, raising concerns of an imminent nuclear disaster. Both sides blaming each other for the damages. The International Atomic Energy Agency warning that the security situation at the plant has deteriorated to the point of becoming very alarming. Russia is using the plant as a military base, but Ukrainian staff are still working there. ABC News spoke exclusively by phone to a plant manager who was there as recently as a month ago. Wanting to remain anonymous, he described Ukrainian workers being held like captives by armed Russians, telling us, quote, "When an assault rifle or a gun has a cocked trigger, I consider it a threat." Just 80 miles of Kyiv, the deserted Chernobyl plant, the site of the worst nuclear disaster in history, an eerie reminder of what can go horrifically wrong.
The nuclear reactors, you can see 1, 2, 3, and in the distance, number 4. That's where it all happened.
Locals telling us they're worried history will repeat itself.
Are you worried it will happen again?
Unfortunately, yes, regarding to the situation by Zaporizhzhia power plant.
And as Russian aggression devastates parts of this country, Putin's war also devastating his own economy. Those Western sanctions causing the economy to contract by 4% and setting it back 4 years. Eva?
Britt Clennett for us there in Ukraine.